Have you guys ever come across an anime which you have never heard of? And when you do a little bit of research, you find out that it used to be a real gem of its time, but now no one seems to remember it at all. It's almost like everyone threw it in a well and just completely forgot to bring it up or something. Well, if all of this crap sounds familiar to you, or maybe even a tiny bit interesting to you, today's ride is one that will definitely amuse you, or at the very least surprise you. Because today I'm going to tell you about the top 10 anime that fans have literally forgotten about. So strap in and clench your cheeks, Billy! We're going for a ride! Walk! So, to kickstart our list, we got Gravitation at number 10. The story of a young singer who is totally burnt out and can't think of a single goddamn word to write as a lyric for his new songs. The deadlines are approaching, none of the songs are finished, and among all these problems, our MC decides to develop a crush on a girl. And if that wasn't enough, the girl is at a complete level of her own. She completely crushes the young singer by telling him he has zero talent. I mean, damn. Don't you think you're being a little too harsh on him? I mean, being insulted like that, our main character is so annoyed that he's managed to finish his song just so he can find and confront Yuki once again. But are his actions really motivated by anger, or is it, a little something else? And fun fact, for those who haven't seen this show, this synopsis might be a little misleading. Now, looking back to the time when I first watched the show, I can still see why I loved it so much. But I feel like I could evaluate it as a proper critic now. And the title of a so-called critic on my head, I would say that Gravitation was probably one of the first of its kind. Certainly, this was the title that opened the floodgates for hundreds of other shonen ai titles just at the turn of the century. Sure, if you pick through the music and some other aspects, you leave yourself with a simple, old-fashioned love story. But the truth of the matter is that most shonen ai anime, they just aren't good. Be it because of the crappy story, obvious fan service, or a bad direction. However, Gravitation doesn't just pull it off as a shonen ai, but as an anime in general. So, if you haven't seen it, you might want to go take a peek. Coming next at number 9, we have Eden of the East. The story revolves around a false terrorist attack that happened in Japan, known as Careless Monday. Well, that's a way to name a terrorist attack. Quickly forgotten, society goes on about their lives as normal. But that wasn't the end of it. How these false attacks changed the life of a college student's life forever is what the show is about. Eden of the East is a new anime and was one of the most anticipated series of the spring 2009 season. After quite an impressive trailer before the anime aired, it had quite the hype going around. With a very interesting plot tapping into the hot topics of terrorism, weapons of mass destruction, information technology, marginalized geek subculture, and subversive conspiracy theories, it accomplishes an astronomical level of relevancy to its early 21st century audience that's both rare and difficult to pull off. It was definitely one of the most refreshing stories in recent seasons. Not to mention the ending leaves you with a cliffhanger that the movies are expected to resolve. But that's what probably killed the popularity of the show. The show itself does not provide any closure to its story and character. But even with that said, this show is one that most of mystery fans will definitely enjoy. So if you are one, be sure to give it a try. Up next at number 8, we have Tokyo Magnitude 8.0. The story revolves around a middle school girl, her little brother, and a motorcycling delivery woman. The story is based on the experience of these characters as the world around them is shattered into pieces due to an earthquake of 8.0 magnitude. Tokyo Magnitude 8.0 is something special, a human story told through naked eyes. This show did something that a bunch of anime hasn't been able to do for the audience, which is to spark an emotional connection. It gently stole my attention through the tale of a young girl whose devastating experience of seeing her city brought her to its knees. Tokyo Magnitude 8.0 is a breath of fresh air among all the crazy, ridiculous shows filled with giant mecha, deadly monsters, hot chicks with big badonkadonks, and more guitar-plucking girls. It takes a seemingly normal life of a bratty teenage girl and literally shakes up her world as she confronts the very face of humanity. This show created a lot of hype when it first aired, but slowly got drifted apart from the fans as time passed. But if you commit to seeing this show through, I can bet $1,000 that you won't be disappointed. Coming in at number 7, we have The 12 Kingdoms. The story starts off innocently with a redhead who is literally the role model of students. but due to her obedient nature, she's often taken advantage of by her not-so-friendly friends. In other words, she has no friends. That is until a guy who is isekai'd from another world shows up. He calls his master and the ruler of his realm. He takes her to his world with 2 other students, and thus begins our journey into the magical land of the 12 kingdoms. What happens next? Well, go and find out. This series is so good that when it ends at episode 45, you'll find yourself wishing for more. And I decided to start watching this show out of genuine curiosity based on the name. But the show quickly hooked me up with a beginning that may not have promised a decent story, but at which it was loaded with hooks to capture its audience. The reason people started to avoid this anime is still a mystery to me. But the immediate sense of urgency and bewildered excitement and some original fantasy ideas and elements will definitely hook you up as well for sure. Then at number 6 we have Deno Coil. In the near future where virtual reality has become a key part of daily life, a gentle middle school girl and her family moves to Daikoku City despite rumors of people disappearing. There, her grandmother runs a shop that specializes in illegal tools which interact with parts of the virtual world. Now that's what you call a badass life. What will happen to her and her family? What problems and mysteries that they will face are what the show revolves around. Dennou Coil was probably one of the best shows I watched in a good long time. This show was in development for about 10 years, and with the incredible subtlety of this entire show, I can believe it. Every aspect of the technology, how the world works, and every tiny detail that one can think of, for this blends together to make the world seem incredibly believable, if not possible in just a few years. It's just futuristic enough to seem amazing, yet grounded enough in reality to seem incredibly possible. And I just wish that our world had all those technologies. This show is another one of those hidden gems that have been sidelined due to the course of time. So, if you want to see something truly amazing that was way ahead of its time, please give this show a try. Up next at number 5, we got Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit. The story starts in an empire on the brink of a catastrophic drought, and the star readers of the empire must devise a plan to avoid widespread famine. They come across an ancient myth that says the first emperor, along with 8 warriors, killed a water demon to avoid a great drought and saved the empire. If a water demon was to appear once more, its death could bring salvation. However, the water demon manifests itself within the body of the emperor's son. Having no other choice, the prince is to be sacrificed to save the empire. But will he really be sacrificed? Watch the show to get the answer. Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit is not your normal anime. It begins its journey as a novel intended for children, but it gained many adult fans. In fact, the novels proved to be so popular that the first volume was adapted into a manga, an anime that was directed by the director of Ghost in the Shell, SAC, and Second Gig, and even a radio drama. Talk about having a fortune. So if you like this type of anime at all, you must watch this. Although if you're looking for tons of action, you will be disappointed because this has a story to tell, and it will tell it at its own pace. Designed to develop characters, and yet it still has some of the best action scenes I've ever seen in my life. And at number 4, we have Planetes. Growing up, I'm sure many of us have stared into the night sky at one time or another, just trying to process the sprawled out abyss, bewildered by its seemingly endless stretches into darkness. Just the very thought of how all-encompassing it is can be equal parts awe-inspiring, yet also intimidating. As we try to find our place in it all, Planetes is another show based in a futuristic world where space travel is an everyday job for humans. People are living on the moon, and corporate offices are branched out to outer space. Our main character is just another worker whose dreams lie in the cosmos. Planetes starts off rather slow. In fact, the story doesn't even really pick up until about episode 10 or so. Before that, you're introduced to a character, personalities, dreams, motives, and blah 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 blah. But this is absolutely necessary though, because without this strong intro, the latter part of the show wouldn't have had nearly the same effect it had. Sadly, a show of this level has been overlooked by a lot of people. Planet Tease has romance, and quite a bit of romance in fact. It's packed full of drama and action along with it too. So, drama, action, and romance. What more could you ask for? Yeah, girls, I know. Jeez. Up next at number 3, we have Beck. So about the story, it's about this middle school kid who finally connects with the world around him through music and what eventually becomes a band called Beck and blah 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 blah. Now what makes Beck different from the typical perky, funny, energetic sort of high school show is that it's more of a simple slice of life show, without all the drama and with a band. So it is no surprise that Beck got overshadowed by a whole tsunami of high school and slice of life shows which came in the last 10 years or so. So this probably isn't what you're looking for if you want a sort of funny, lighthearted high school slice of life show. It's quieter than that. It is much better than expected. Even though it has a storyline so interesting and wonderfully executed, this anime won't be enjoyed by everyone, sadly. Not even every music fan. But if you're looking for a break from all the sugar, this is a really nice change of pace. And next, our today's runner-up is Kids on the Slope. The story, introverted classical pianist and the top student who arrives for his first day of high school. Having constantly moved from place to place since his childhood, he abandons all hope of fitting in, preparing himself for another lonely, meaningless year. That is, until he encounters the famous delinquent of the school. While mistakenly getting to a bad start, these two soon develop an unforgettable friendship based on respect, forgiveness, and of course, music. Now before I tell you more about the show, let me ask you a couple of questions. Are you someone who wants to know what it was like back in the 1960s? Ever wanted to escape from the harsh reality of today's world? Want to just sit back and enjoy some old school music after a stressful day? Well, perhaps you found a series worthy to invest your time into because Kids on the Slope is there, and sure to give you something to think about. The story itself has an amazing pace and, in my opinion, has the perfect combination of romance, drama, and music. The developments feel very natural and there are no freaking fillers. So, if you like this type of anime, you don't want to miss it. And now at number 1 on our today's list of the most forgotten anime is Nana. And rather than how many people have watched this, I would like to ask how many people who have already watched it remember it. If you do, congrats, because you are in a long line of odds. Now, all that aside, the story is about 2 young women with identical names who are brought together in their pursuit of new beginnings, with their hearts set on going to Tokyo. Nana Komatsu dreams about blissful love, while Nana Osaki aims for a successful music career. How will they affect each other's life? Go and watch the show if you haven't yet already. One of the best things about Nana are the characters. We can actually see the reflection of ourselves in some of them and believe that someone like that can really exist. This is proof that you can make a good anime without the conventional tsundere, yandere, or annoying childhood friend tropes. Even though the plot is a typical shoujo tearjerker, it has that magical something that makes you cheer unconsciously for some characters and experience some emotional events almost as strongly as the characters themselves feel. So, be sure to check this one out and try not to forget it this time. Well, I guess that's it for today. Before you leave though, if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you would give it a like because it really means a lot to me. And I will really like you too. Again, if you are new to this channel, hit the subscribe button as well and press on the bell icon so that you never miss an update from us. And please, leave a comment on which anime that you have already watched from this list and which ones you have forgotten. And this is just my list. I might have forgotten to add some anime to this list as well. So if there is any, please let me know in the comments and I will be sure to check it out. If there are too many of them, then who knows? There might be a separate video for those as well. But as for now, I'll catch you later. See you in the next one.